it's always difficult to let somebody go in the business, especially when that person's a super nice person, incredibly professional, really nice to have around. But unfortunately, performance wasn't where we needed it to be. It was in the field of sales as well, which is always dog eat dog. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Diary of an Entrepreneur. I'm Danny Lacey, CEO and founder here at Stardom Media. This series is all about documenting the growth and process and journey that I'm going on as I build this business, warts and all. It's Tuesday, 14th of March today, 3:30. Didn't film anything yesterday, just didn't get a chance. It was just one of those days where there's so much going on that I just completely forgot that I needed to grab the camera and record some clips. Business acquisition is a big theme in this business at the minute. I'm having lots of conversations. I had a conversation yesterday afternoon with the business owner via Teams, talking about what a deal might look like and just being open and honest. We don't have a bucket full of cash to just buy every business that's going. We have to be very strategic with how we purchase, how we acquire. There are 4 or 5 different deal scenarios that we're looking at, and it's finding the right kind of business that fits in that. We're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs. It might be hundreds and hundreds of conversations that I have to have and go through before we find the 1, 2 or 3 businesses that fit perfectly for what we're after. I've got a meeting tomorrow in person, probably the first one we've done in person, getting to meet the owner of a marketing agency to again just discuss what an acquisition might look like, what our plans are for the future, and for them to have a little look around our business, get a feel for us, because you've got to remember the thing with a deal is you're buying a business off of somebody, and that person's probably gone through decades of hard work to grow that business to get it to where it is, and they want to make sure that they're handing it over into safe hands. Also next week, me and Ben are away for our big agenda day. Well, actually it's a couple of days. We're going to the lakes. We did this last year. We got an awful lot from it, and it's definitely influenced the last 12 months that we've had in the business, and we've achieved most of the goals that we set in that big agenda day. But it's going through the 3 key areas of the business and breaking it down and putting goals and objectives in place for the next 12 months. Those 3 key areas are marketing and sales, operations and finance, and looking at each of those elements of the business. And like I say, putting plans and objectives in place to make sure that we're able to achieve that £2 million revenue, which is our goal for the next financial year. Looking at how we're going to grow the team, what the team formation is going to look like, how we're going to score the team, how we're going to score processes and systems that we're bringing into place, and tons of other stuff that we just need to have a look at. A lot of the team are in London this week for a event for, get this is the first time this has ever happened, 2 of our biggest clients attending the same event in the same industry, and we've built the stands, exhibition stands for both businesses, design, helping out with the build, the functionality, doing all the video content for it, the design, the graphic designs, and tons of work on each of those stands. It's gone well. The team have been sending photographs and video back from the event, and the stands look absolutely stunning, and I can't wait to share some of that online eventually. But thankfully, touch wood, it's all gone well. There's been little glitches here and there, but nothing major, nothing that's certainly going to destroy reputation or anything. Just tiny little things that you learn as you go on. And it's quite a nerve-wracking job this as well, because this is the first time that we've done this. We've all been involved in events over the years, but this is the first time Stardom Media has actually done an event like this, 2 events like this on the same day, and it's gone really well. So very pleased about that. We're working and ramping up sales at the minute. Lots going on, lots in the pipeline. We're also recruiting at the minute for a director of business development. This is going to be a huge investment for the business, because we basically need somebody who can sell to my level. So 700, 800, £1 million a year. We need to be matching that. Otherwise the business is just going to rely too heavily on me. Right, anyway, I've got to get back. I've got a couple of hours to finish off some of these sales that I'm talking about, including some tenders that have come in that we're interested in pitching. So I need to crack on. Let's go. Difficult day yesterday in the business. We had to let somebody go, and it's always difficult to let somebody go in the business, especially when that person's a super nice person, incredibly professional, really nice to have around. But unfortunately, performance wasn't where we needed it to be. It was in the field of sales as well, which is always dog eat dog. Sales is a really difficult industry to be in. It was just awful basically, but we had to let that person go yesterday, and it wasn't a decision that we made like yesterday. It's been an ongoing thing for quite a few months. We've been given this person lots of opportunities, trying to help as much as we can, allowing time for deals to make its way through the funnel and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, we had to get to a point where a decision had to be made, and it was a tough one, probably the toughest one I think I've had to make in a long time. Now luckily I've got Ben, who's the managing director, and his job is to do that sort of stuff, the hiring and firing. I've done plenty of that in my time. Not an easy job for him to do, but you have a responsibility as a business owner to make the right decisions, and sometimes that involves having to remove people from the business, hiring people, developing and appraisals and performance reviews and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to grow a business. You've got a responsibility for everybody else. Now, everybody has ebbs and flows. We're not going to sack somebody just because they've had a bad day. But I'm comfortable with how we approached this particular incident. And, there was lots of opportunity, lots of discussions. We were honest and transparent months and months ago. But it's sad, and we wish the person well. Some will worry and get concerned about their own jobs and things, and you have to kind of reassure. But you have to pull the trigger. The decision has to be made. Then you have to deal with the ramifications. And again, if that person was liked, which this person was, then you have to deal with the after effects of that, which is people are going to be upset. People are going to be questioning why we made the decisions. We're going to get blamed. Obviously, that's what happens. Yeah, and then the other side of it is the removal from all the systems and processes, because that is top priority. You have to literally close that door. As harsh as that sounds, when a person leaves a business, it's literally, you've got to remove them from all the processes and systems that you have. You've got to deal with their emails, obviously, and tons of other stuff. So there's a whole, logistical thing going on around firing people, and there's always an after effect of that. In a previous video, I've mentioned that, I'd love to be everybody's friend, go for drinks, have lunch, talk on WhatsApp about computer games and films and things, but at the end of the day, I can't be your friend, because there may be a day where I have to make a decision that you don't like or don't agree with, and there may be a day where I have to fire you, and so that friendship just can't exist by default, really. Anyway, around that, I had another meeting with a business owner who's interested in selling their business, and it fits perfectly with what we're after, and we're now advancing conversation. There may be a deal to be done here, so I'm interested to see how that unfolds. We've now gone to the NDA stage, and now it's looking at accounts and all the numbers and the financials, doing the due diligence. We've got an interview today with a candidate for the position that we're trying to fill, which is the Director of Business Development. I need somebody in the business that can compete with me with sales and client acquisitions, because the business is vulnerable when it's just relying on me and my sales. Which is where we're at the minute. So we've got a few candidates that we're looking at. We're working with an agency now, and we've found that the quality of the candidates through the agency, albeit way more expensive than doing and going to job boards and sharing the job description yourself. Working with an agency, we are feeling the positive effects of that, even though it's a huge investment. This is the last episode of this series 4 of the Diary of an Entrepreneur. We'll be taking a little break after this, and then we'll come back with a better format and an improved format, and I'll probably get Tom back out filming again, and we'll see more of the day-to-day and meetings with clients and suppliers and team. A bit more behind the scenes with the team and stuff. This one's just been more of just me filming. Talking of business acquisitions, just quickly, I'm on a 3-day course this week, 8 in the morning till 9:30. It's an online course from a mentor, somebody who's acquiring businesses and also sharing that knowledge and training people to buy and sell businesses. And I'm finding that really, really useful, and it's sharpening my knowledge as I now outreach to even more businesses to try and find those ideal business partners. And I'll be sharing that on this, probably not this series, but next series, hopefully, we'll have some deeper detail and insight into acquiring a business, and hopefully, touch wood, we'll have actually bought a business. It is April the 3rd. There's been a little bit of a gap in filming Diary of an Entrepreneur just because it's been crazy busy. We were away in the lakes for the Big Agenda Day. I've been off for a week, which has been amazing. We were in the caravan in Oxfordshire for a week, recharged the batteries despite the horrendous weather conditions at times, and back fully recharged and ready to go this week. So this will be the final week of filming for episode 4 of the Diary of an Entrepreneur, and then we'll start looking at series 5 and how we can change things up a little bit. So apologies for the little gap in filming. Where do I start? We had 2 people leave the business before I went away and before our Big Agenda Day. 2 tough decisions that we had to make. Again, very tough decisions, but again, we have to make the right call and decisions for the business. And so it's two decisions that we had to make, and I'll probably do a video separately on that at some point. So we've got Frankie starting today. Frankie's our new account manager. Her job is to grow accounts, look after clients, and hopefully eventually head up that CST team at some point down the line. So Frankie, it was day one today, always a nerve-wracking time for somebody starting a new role. So we had the big agenda day, me and Ben, in the Lake District before I went away, and it was probably the most productive one we've had to date. We've done 2 of these now, and this basically looks back at the previous 12 months, and then we look forward to the next 12 months and get everything set up. We go through, I think we had 5 main key agenda items to look at in the business, looking at the different departments, so marketing and sales, operations, finance, and then a few other bits on there as well. And we just look at how we're going to achieve the bigger picture goals that we've set for the business by 2026, which is our 5-year plan. So that was amazing. And now I've got to go through and make notes on that. And then Ben translates all of that onto his red, amber, and green flag system. So he'll take some of the action points, and there's plenty of action points from the big agenda day, and he'll add them in order of priority. So there'll be some items on there that need to be done like tomorrow, and are red, they're the red flags, high priority, and amber and green, and so on and so forth. So that was a really good day. We had John come out this year as well, on the second day, so we could present what we did on day one, present the agenda and the action points off the back of that, and the thoughts and reviews on where we are as a business, which was really helpful, actually having a fresh pair of eyes on it. And but it was good, really good, very productive, some really good stuff's come out of that. I'm looking forward to sharing that on future videos. This afternoon's all about meetings, loads of meetings. I've got an hour and a bit with Frankie to go through the bigger picture goals of the business, to give her a bit of backstory, because I think it's really important that everybody that works here understands where we started and where we want to be. So I'll be doing that with Frankie a little bit later. I've also got a second phase interview for the role of Director of Business Development, somebody who we hope will head up our new client acquisitions sales department. And I've got an interview this afternoon at 2, I think it is, with a really good looking candidate. When I say good looking candidate, by the way, for those worrying about that comment, I mean they look good on paper. So interviewing for that, and we've also got a board meeting on Wednesday. So John will be in for that, me, Ben, and John. We have it on the first Wednesday of every month, and it's the first one of the new financial year. And business acquisitions is also quite high on the list as well. And today is the first day of our new financial year in the business. So we're onto a whole new fresh financial year. And we've got a £2 million revenue target this year. We beat our £1 million revenue target last year, which doubled on the previous year, and we're hoping to double up again this year. So there's a lot of work ahead of us, so it is time to get going. Let's go. And this is the last episode of series 4 of the Diary of an Entrepreneur, and I just want to jump on before the end of the series and before we take a little break, before series 5 is released. It's been crazy. This episode has been broken up across several weeks of filming, little clips here and there. It's just been so busy, just not had time to grab the camera, find a quiet space, and catch up. So I have lots of notes. We're recruiting at the minute for a Director of Business Development, somebody who can come in and help us with new client acquisitions, help us achieve that £2 million revenue target that we have this financial year, because today is April the 6th, I think. Yeah, April the 6th today, so it's the very beginning of our new financial year. We need to hit 2 million by March 31st, 2024. I can't do that all on my own, so we're going to need help with that, but we need heavy hitting help. So we need an experienced Director of Business Development. We've had 2 second phase interviews. We loved both candidates. We've got John, our non-exec director, to interview both of them, and he's come back to us with his preferred choice. And so we've decided to go with that option. It was super close between the 2 candidates, but we know who we want now, so we're going to put the job offer in and see how that goes. But hopefully they'll be able to start really soon, and then we can get them onboarded and hopefully get them hitting the ground running and bringing in some new business to the client that isn't business that's coming in through my channels and my network and contacts. It's been a short week this week, obviously. It's bank holiday tomorrow and Monday, so the entire team have a long weekend, which is great. They deserve it. They've worked so hard, so Friday and Monday are off. Now for a business owner, that's a nightmare. It's like, there's only 4 days in the week and there's so much to do. But But at the same time, it's nice to have a break. I'm also looking forward to having a break. If I'm honest, I've got one thing to do tomorrow, Bank Holiday Friday, and that's a phone call with a potential business acquisition. So a business owner thinking about selling their business. I'm having a conversation with them in the morning. So looking forward to that. The Starter podcast is one of the jobs that we tackled this week. I've done 2 pilot episodes that is with Natalia at the minute. So I need Natalia to go over and feedback and come up with some suggestions. I want her to own the podcast. I want her to produce it. I want her to be on top of it, owning it. And so I've said, look, I'll record some pilot episodes and just give me some honest feedback. Let me know where you want to go with it, if it's heading in the right direction or if we need to change things up. Frankie has started with us, our new account manager. She's really settling in, day 4 today. So I spent a little bit of time with her today, an hour or 2, just going through the history of the company. I think it's really important for new people coming into the business to understand the beginning of the business, the genesis of the business, and the journey the business has gone on to get to where it is at the minute, because we're a small business, we're a little family, and I just think it's important, and some people might find it interesting because we've got an interesting story. The IT systems, Ben's been on with that. It's been a red flag for a while, but finally we've hired an IT company to take over all of our IT stuff. And that means that the team will have somebody to contact if their computers are running slow or if they're having any issues. It also means we're super protected from attacks online for safety and security, for spammers and scammers and all that malware sort of stuff, which is nice. It's something that we've not had before, but we've been desperate to have it. It also means when we bring new people into the business, it's easy to get them set up on a computer and on the systems and processes, because the IT company deal with all that, and we don't need to worry about it. Had a really good huddle yesterday. Yesterday was my quarterly huddle. We changed the format back to the old style, where I just basically sat in a room and I just talked to the team about where we are right now, where we want to be in the future. I think for the most part, most of the team find it interesting. There'll be always people that are like, oh, it's another meeting. It's Danny going on again talking about goals and visions and corporate speak and all that sort of jazz, and that's fine, but I think the majority of people enjoyed listening. There was a lot of questions in the Q&A bit at the end, which I'm a huge fan of that. I love Q&A. It's a real opportunity to demonstrate how honest and transparent we are as a business and that we're not full of BS. Board meeting yesterday with me, John and Ben went really well, very productive. We've added a little bit more accountability into the board meeting now, so that there are more action points and we're all going to be held accountable for our own little piece of that. So I've got a couple of tasks to do in the sales and marketing part of the business. Ben's got some bits and pieces to do in the finance side of the business, and then John and Ben are doing a little bit between them on the operational side of the business, including some team culture type stuff, which I'm really pleased about. The team were out last night, all of the team, pretty much 99.9% of them. Went to a restaurant in the city centre and had a meal on us. Starter Media paid for it, and they had a really good night, which was fantastic. And we're doing more of that now, and you can just feel that sense of chemistry building between everybody. I think the closing thing for this is just the frustrations. I guess there's the energy level issue that I have, but I've also got frustrations about how slow things are moving. Because we're bigger, there's a lot more things, more going on, more moving parts, more people, more opinions, more things to approve, and when it was just me, I could make things move really quicker. If I wanted to kit out a room, I could just spend the money, do it, and away we went. Whereas now it's got to go through a process, and when other people are really busy and they've got other priorities, things tend to, so the growth of the business in certain parts tends to be a little bit slower the bigger you get, but that's understandable, and I get that, and I'm empathetic towards that. But I can't help feeling those frustrations sometimes, that there are certain things that just aren't moving quick enough. I'm trying really hard to push them and move them forward, but I can't really put too much pressure on the team because they're busy doing other stuff, and some things have way higher priorities above some of the things that I want. But at the same time, I have got priorities in the things I want to get done in the business, and it's just making sure that the team are aware of that. Ben has the responsibility, obviously, of having to deal with that, and we have conversations and catch-ups every other week, full catch-ups, so I'm going through that list of stuff that needs to be done. Anyway, that is it. Thank you for watching this series of the Diary of an Entrepreneur. I'm going to do my best to record more audio content on the podcast. I think we've stopped at episode 22 or 23, I think it is. There hasn't been a new episode for quite a while. So I need to get back on that because I do enjoy podcasts. I really enjoy recording the podcast. In fact, it's one of the favorite parts of my content creation activities is doing the podcast. So I miss doing that. We're also going to do more live webinars and tons of other stuff with the whole Diary of an Entrepreneur. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. I hope you're finding the information interesting. I'd love to get your feedback. I'd love to get your thoughts. But yeah, just constructive feedback. What would you like to hear more about and see more in this series for series 5, which we're going to start filming in the next month or so? And just leave the comments below, or email me directly, dannylacey@startermedia.co.uk. There will be a link to my email address in the comments. And that's it. Again, thank you for watching this series of the Diary of an Entrepreneur, and I hope to see you on the next series.